Opposing Gloves here, and today we're going to talk about samplers in this Sound and Synth Basics. So what is a sampler? Well, you take a recording of something and you put it together, then you get a sampler. Well, I kind of skipped a few steps. You take a recording. Let's say you've got a piano in front of you. You record each note. You go in, you chop each note so that they're all chopped to when you hit the note and let the note fade out and you chop it. And you do that for every single note. You put it in some sort of a mapping thing. So you go into your favorite sampler and you map it out onto every single key. And then, I'm a little surprised there aren't more samples here. And then you go to then you can play it on your keyboard. And a plugin that allows you to do that is called a sampler. Now, there's an easier version of a sampler. You record a kick, and then you can trigger your kick using Midi. That's it. That's an easier version of a sampler. It is actually even called the sampler. So a sophisticated sampler, you can do things with instruments. This is called Contact. It's one of the best purchases I've ever made. Go check it out. I have a 4-part series on this. So if you want to know about Contact, you can go watch that. I worked pretty hard on that. Now, this is a really high-end sampler. It allows you to basically recreate the instrument. If you can think it up, you can pretty much do it. Things like, go check out Spitfire Audio, Rev, Output. I keep saying I've noticed that. I'm trying to stop. There's, I can't believe I can't think of anyone. There's all these people. Native Instruments, Heaviosity. You could just create everything in here, like to give you an idea. So here's a piano. Now I don't have my pedal on. I can do pedal resonances. I could change the color, the tone. You can apply all synthesis techniques to this at this point. There's a sampler. So again, you record each note. You can record just pieces. Essentially, every time you drop a piece of audio anywhere, you're sampling it. In a very basic sense. So that's a piano. Here I have some strings. So let me open up some strings. And here we go. And you see, they've even incorporated Midi and stuff. A lot of other samplers won't do stuff like this. But there you go. FL Studios has something that does something. It's called Direct Wave. And it comes with one. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. If we come over here to Sound Fonts, String Ensemble. And it's going to tell me a bunch of crap. You see, they have something similar. This is when people record, the recording part of it makes a big difference. So I cover all this kind of stuff. That's what a sampler does. Now, a few things you should probably know about samplers, computer-wise, that I've not seen anywhere. I don't mention it in my other series. I probably should add this. I just learned this though, just recently. So when your computer's reading out stuff like this, as a sampler, you probably have options like pitch correction, all these things. You're going to need, the end of the story is you're going to need some RAM. Random accessible memory. Why? Because what happens is when your computer is reading stuff out, it needs to send it through a buffer. In order to do this, it'll load up the samples in RAM, which can read, it'll time compress the samples. It can read the samples out at a much faster rate than what it received them at. It can also access the sample data faster. So if you're going to apply pitch corrections and change, the amount of RAM you have is a big deal. And so just so you know, RAM is important for time compression reasons so that your computer will run smoothly and quickly. So you're going to want to invest in a healthy amount of RAM. So people are going to recommend 8 gigs, but if you're doing something like this, you need 16 if you really want to deal with that. Now, it is also limited by your processor and your CPU and various other topics. But just so you know, RAM is important. You generally want as much as you can get. When it comes to CPU and RAM, you just can't have enough. So I have 16. I want to upgrade to 32. I know you can have something like 64. That's a lot of RAM. You'd have to be doing something insane to overload that. At that point, you're being bottlenecked by something else that your RAM's not going to be your issue. 16, it shouldn't be an issue. I've never had an issue, and I load up tons of samples, but samples do use RAM. Contact's really nice because you can really customize the way it uses the RAM. Like, you can load up all your samples, you can then write out your score, and then you can delete the samples from the RAM, not from your hard drive, that you're not using in your score. And so you can do stuff like that, and that really just opens up, like it makes things much more efficient. If you have any questions about samplers, go check out the contact series, drop them in the comments. Name your favorite one. Name your favorite sample library. There are free ones. Like, I have some free ones on here. If I go over here to files, now you have to own Contact to do this, but you can get the player. It lets you play it for like a couple minutes. But if you come over here, like 15 minutes, mute slap. This is like one of my favorite things ever. Some guy made this for free. It's great. It's really loud too. And as you hit different velocity levels, they will trigger different samples. Now I turn velocity sensitivity off my keyboard because it pisses me off most of the time. But if you come down, you can see this is like, I thought this was like awesome. I loved this thing. If you have any questions, again, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day.
Opposing blows. Reversing.